Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wolverine Pack, produced by the team here at the UVU Review. In today's episode, we got some cool stuff for you. We'll look at some of our top stories from the past week here at the newspaper.
Here on campus, we're going to be looking to see what all happened during U Impact, an event that was hosted here on campus, and check in on the MLK Service Club's project that happened on January 18th.
The student fee hearings have occurred this week, where several departments have actually come in and are proposing their student fees that will happen in the next year, and as well as the Governor Cox has proposed tuition freezes, so many of the student fees that you currently have and have paid for will probably stay the same in the coming year. Now, this thing to be keeping in mind is that most of these fees are just proposed. They have to be passed by the student council.
Have you ever wondered if billboards are an effective marketing tactic? The UVU SMARTLab set out to find the answer to that question with eye tracking technology and an EEG.
In more global news, the debt ceiling is making lawmakers undecided as the deadline has loomed back on last Thursday. Currently, the U.S. Department of Treasury has enacted emergency standards to try to keep the country from defaulting on its loans. Currently, lawmakers are still undecided on what's to do about the current debt ceiling, and right now, no agreement has been proposed.
D.C. isn't out of the hot water just yet, as classified documents were discovered in the home and office of President Joe Biden. Their discovery has led to the formation of a special counsel to investigate the situation. Again, we'll be going more in depth on that story as well as the rest of our others throughout this show.
Ladies and gentlemen, something to celebrate. Our mighty green men's basketball team is soaring into the WAC standings this season after a 3-game sweep on the road.
And in addition to all of these stories featured here on the show, you can find more details about them, and you can stay tuned to the end of this broadcast to hear about all the amazing, fantastic events that are happening here on campus this week.
As we delve deeper into the new semester, school organizations and clubs have already begun mapping out various interactive campus-sponsored activities and events for the students. This week, the UVU Social Impact Fellows and the Center for Social Impact both took center stage to commemorate its annual U Impact Week. This U Impact Week is an annual tradition and organized and sponsored by the UVU Social Impact Fellows and the Center for Social Impact. The event is intended to teach students and members of the community how to be positively involved in their communities through a series of social impact events and activities scheduled throughout the week.
I think that's such a cool opportunity for people to get involved on campus.
Absolutely.
On January 17th through 19th, MLK Commemoration exhibited one of its first events. In further celebration, on the 19th, we had the open house, and continuing the tradition of Impact Thursdays on January 19th, Impact 101 took place. Students and staff of UVU gathered at the UVU Center for Global and Intercultural Engagement on January 17th, 2023, for the first of 6 service projects taking place across campus in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Volunteers worked together to assemble birthday boxes for children living at South Valley Services, an organization that shelters families affected by domestic abuse. Melanie Wolf, a club ambassador who works with the UVU's Multicultural Student Council, helped organize the project. She said, "The birthday boxes have all the things children at South Valley Services need to celebrate their birthdays." I am just so thrilled to hear about our community giving back. She also said, "It's a light of hope to be able to have a day all about them."
It's also incredible. I have a special place in my heart for South Valley Services. My high school raised money from at one point, so
very neat.
I'm glad to see that the university is paying them some attention. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, the student fee hearings are going on. This last week and this previous week, 2 days of student fee hearings have already occurred. Departments such as the Student Health Services, Departments Athletics, and the School of the Arts will be meeting next week. Currently, all departments have recommended a maintenance in their current student fees, which means your student fee that you paid at the beginning of the semester is not going to change next year, most likely. This proposal still has to go through committee, still has to go through the student council before it's finally approved by the Board of Trustees and eventually the Board of Higher Education. At the moment, all fees have been frozen due to Governor Cox requesting all higher ed institutions to maintain their student fees to not raise costs for students. So at the moment, it's looking like we won't have to pay much more in fees instead of things like that, which is always a good thing, right?
That's good for me, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any more questions about that, feel free to stop by the UVU SA website where you can get more information.
There's also some really interesting research happening on campus here with regards to roadside billboards. The UVU SMARTLab set out to find the answer to whether or not they're effective marketing tactics with eye tracking technology and an EEG. Let's take a look.
My name is Dale Jolly. I'm a professional in residence at Utah Valley University. I've been here for 8 years and came from the pharmaceutical and biotech industry where I was in senior management. My role with the UVU SMARTLab is to be the director of it. I go find new clients for the SMARTLab. I also oversee it as far as bringing in student groups so that we can work with them to conduct tours, but we also have classes come in and do research. The purpose and goal of the UVU SMARTLab is really, number one, to provide students with excellent education and also to help our faculty complete some of their research. Number two, the purpose is to work with the community to help them with their community campaigns. Number three, we do make money off of the lab from these clients, and that helps us to employ students. So think of it from a client's perspective. You have a marketing campaign, could be a website, product packaging, could be a commercial, and you want to see how effective those are. You bring those to the UVU SMARTLab, and we will test it with about 30 people individually. They'll come in, we'll use eye tracking, so I'm able to tell you where they're looking at the website or the commercial or not looking. I'm also able to tell what's going on with their brain because these people are wearing an electroencephalogram, and so that is a headset that basically tells me how hard their brain is working. We also have what's called galvanic skin response, kind of like a lie detector, goes on your hand, and it will tell me physiologically what your response is to what you're looking at. We also do what is called facial coding, and so facial coding is really looking at this part of your face, and we make little micro expressions with our face. Those are actually indicators of what our emotion is that we're feeling. So we're capturing all of these objective measurements, and they give us really reliable information to go back to the client and say, this part of your campaign is working, this part isn't. We get qualitative information through actually asking each participant, why did you look at certain areas? What were you feeling? And that basically confirms the quantitative data that we've collected through our tools. So UVU students can get involved through the SMARTLab in a few different ways. One of the things that we do, they get involved through my customer experience class. That's a Marketing 4600 class, where if you're taking that class in person, you get to actually come tour the lab, but you do a project through the lab. We also do work for other students that are in classes, whether it's digital media, it might be a marketing capstone course. We will comp all of our time, you'll use our equipment all free to help them on a project that's for a grade. We're trying to get more and more students from the university to utilize this great resource. There are very few resources or labs like this throughout the country, and this can give our students an edge.
You know, that's incredible where technology has taken us, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of attention and visibility, Washington, D.C. has reached their debt limit. This past Thursday, lawmakers failed to pass a raise to the debt ceiling, which has now caused the country to take extraordinary measures in order to avoid a default. Things like skipping out on bonuses for federal employees and other sort of measures to prevent a default on the United States' federal debt. They have until June, lawmakers, in order to come up with a plan in order to prevent such an economic mishap. And at the moment, it's not looking so good. The Speaker of the House, McCarthy, hasn't come up with anything, and at the moment, we don't know what's going to happen.
Wow. In other breaking news this last week, classified documents were discovered in the home and the office of President Joe Biden on December 20th, 2022, and 2 other instances in January, both in Washington, D.C. and Delaware. More of these documents have been reported to be found back in November, so this has been ongoing for a while, and this has spawned a special counsel to investigate their handling by Biden. A lot of these are back from when he was vice president under the Obama era, and And so this has been a long-going issue. The White House has also been receiving criticism for its public statements regarding the issue and for not revealing that several more of these documents had been found. This marks the second current investigation into the mishandling of confidential documents, as similar documents were found in former President Donald Trump's Florida home. The former president has criticized President Biden, citing unfair treatment and how his case was handled in comparison. The review will continue to be reporting on this case as it develops further.
Turning over to something more a little lighthearted, our men's basketball team, we all love them, are soaring into the WAC standings this season. Isn't that insane? After the 3-game sweep on the road, the Wolverines returned to 13th. Let's look at those highlights.
Coming into this game, UVU had won 11 straight games against many opponents such as the University of Oregon and even our crosstown rivals of BYU. Averaging just about 14.5 points a game, Justin Harmon has been important in the team's success. However, his efforts are not the only on the team that have been contributing to this team's success. Aziz Bandego is in the top 10 for the NCAA in rebounds with 10.5 a game, and Trey Woodbury has been helpful in the clutch with averaging almost 13.5 points a game. For the game against Seattle U, Utah Valley faced off against another tough conference opponent who hadn't lost to a team within the conference. Coming into this game, Utah Valley was at 14 wins and 4 losses, and Seattle was at 13 wins and 4 losses. Seattle's team is led by guard Cameron Tyson, who averages 20.5 points a game, and their center Brandon Chatfield, who gets 5.5 rebounds a game. Throughout the game, both teams would hold the lead, with Utah Valley being in front for the majority of the game. At the half, the score was 44-42, with Utah Valley in front. Utah Valley led the game in shooting percentages and rebounds. However, their ability to shoot free throws was affecting their second half performance. Utah Valley would end up shooting 52% from the field and 38% from 3. Even with a lower 3-point percentage, Seattle was able to put in 12 threes to just 5 threes from Utah Valley. That would be the overall reason behind Seattle's victory over Utah Valley. The final score would end up being 80-85. Utah Valley had 2 impressive double-doubles by both Aziz Bandego and Tim Fuller. The next home game for Utah Valley will end up being on the 28th against conference opponent New Mexico State.
You know, I wish I was as good as basketball as some of those kids. It's amazing. With a campus as large as UVU, there's always events happening on campus, and we can guarantee there's something for everyone. For example, if you like food, we visit the demonstration kitchen in SL 1018A from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. The zone will hand out free waffles and pancakes from Monday through Fridays. And who doesn't love free food?
I was going to say, that's a win for me. This Wednesday, the 25th, from 10 to 3, students can head to the Grand Ballroom to visit the Spring STEM Career and Internship Fair. Attendees will have an opportunity to meet and network with employers throughout various STEM industries. It's an amazing opportunity if you're interested in going into a STEM field.
Later in the day, the African Diaspora Networking Meeting will be taking place in the Lakeview Room in FL 428. That's the library for those of you who don't know. 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the purpose of this event is for students to, quote, connect with faculty and staff and administrators, alumni, and other community members who are interested in mentoring students of the African diaspora, according to the Multicultural Center.
And finally, for Wednesday, Jessica Voss, a Broadway performer, is going to be visiting the UVU campus. She's an amazing performer, and she's going to be doing her thing at 7:30 in the concert hall at the Norda. Voss has most recently been on Broadway, starring as Elphaba in Wicked, which is one of my favorite musicals, so if you have the opportunity to go, I would highly recommend it.
On Thursday, the 26th at 2 p.m. in CBO, our very own President Jimenez will be giving her annual speech on the state of the university to recap UVU's success and discuss the future. That evening, the UVU women's basketball plays at Seattle University at 6 p.m. in the UCCU Center. Be sure to support our mighty green Wolverines. Are you pumped up?
I am
Prove
so
it to me.
pumped up.
That's a good. There we go.
All right. And then on Friday the 27th, the university's annual UO Ball will be hosted and presented by the UVU SA and the School of the Arts. Come decked out in a formal dress and enjoy awards and performances all throughout the evening. And get ready to dance and make sure that you get your tickets in advance.
It's going to be great. And our last for the week, men's basketball will be taking on New Mexico State at 2 p.m. at the UCCU Center. We're going to kick tail. UVU students can receive free admission to 5 regular season home events with their student ID cards. So come and grab your tickets for this game and get pumped up. Are we still pumped up?
We are still pumped up.
We're getting her down.
That is all that we have for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to our very first broadcast of the Wolverine Pack. If you're interested in a deeper dive in any of our other stories that we talked about or any of our other stories throughout the week, go ahead and find us at www.uvureview.com. You can also follow us on our socials at UVU Review on Instagram, on Twitter, and you can search us up on Facebook as well. Thank you again for tuning in, and I hope you have a great week.
And ladies and gentlemen, God bless you.
Bye-bye.